All right, guys, I have a few stories. I wanted to close out the week with one having to do with Sony and their next generation push and how it could be even later than people are expecting. There's also a Nintendo Direct that's been announced for Sunday, but a very specific kind of direct. And I did notice there's a big celebration this weekend for Dragon Ball that could end up culminating maybe in a new game announcement, but we'll look at that today and more. Guys, if you enjoy the video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. So let's just quickly jump over here and get started. This is from Sandstone Insights Japan, and this started to make the rounds online today, even though it technically was put out there a few days ago. And it does have to do with the expectation for Sony going forward over the next couple of years with their PlayStation brand in mind. So they do talk about how Sony is expected to beat any of the market expectations that are currently set up. Remember, here in a couple of weeks, they will report on their third quarter results, and that will cover this recent holiday period. And it seems like the PlayStation 5 sold very, very well for October, November, and December, especially in that November month during Black Friday where they ran a bunch of sales. Seems like they were moving PlayStation 5s rapidly. So for a system now that, at this time has completed its fifth year, but during that quarter it was about to complete its fifth year, it seems like it's pretty impressive for what they're able to do with it. And look, this holiday coming up, I think it's going to accelerate even more because, well, as long as everything goes according to plan, which it hasn't so far for Rockstar, well, they should have GTA 6. And I mean, as we see with the PS5 versus the Xbox sales, the PlayStation 5 is the default console, it seems like, at this time. So yeah, it's gonna have a nice little bump from I say little bump, but probably a pretty large push from GTA 6 when that comes out in November. But because of how well it's performing currently with the PlayStation 5, one of the key insights here from Sandstone is that the PlayStation life cycle extension, Sony sees PS5 life cycle as longer. The PS6 release expected to be later than many expected. And I'm seeing something get thrown around right now that there is a potential 2029 release on the board for the PS6. And people seem, when this started to go around today with even just this quote here that it could be later than many expected, people seem pretty happy about it. Like, hey, you know what? If it's 2030, I'll be good. Let's get as much as we can out of this PlayStation 5. And that's not at all the sentiment that I remember from something like the PS3. When we were getting towards the end of that generation, and I'm thinking 2012, man, people were ready. They said, you know what? This is a fine system when it came out. Blu-ray was a big thing, and it seemed like a very powerful system with the cell processor powering it. But these games are running at lower resolutions. The frame rate it's in the 20s most times. It's not great. Let's get the next big thing. So there was a demand for it. Even the PS4 to the PS5, while it's been harder for Sony to get people off of the PS4 to the PS5, there is a legitimate jump when it comes to visuals. If you're on the base PS4 and you're locked to 1080p and now you have a 4K set, maybe you want the 4K experience, you're going to go up to a PS5. Also, load times, people tend to forget. That's a significant difference. I mean, really, I've gone back and used the PS4 a few times here now, especially for different videos, looking back at older games, and yes, even doing some hacking stuff to it, just for fun with the homebrew scene. The PS4 running off that hard disk drive, it takes time. There are points where load screens are up for minutes on end. So that is, to me, that is one of the biggest jumps, is really the elimination of most long load screens. But it's going to be more difficult to go from the PS5 to the PS6. And while Sony and AMD are working in tandem on this Project Amethyst, I don't think it's necessary for either of them to run face first into very expensive hardware that does include video cards for AMD, as they are also looking more and more at AI and probably trying to take advantage of the situation that very well could last another 2 or 3 years, depending on how things go for their partners at OpenAI. And in Sony's case, hey, you know what? We'll say 2029, even though I think 2028 is most likely. That would still make it the longest running generation that Sony has had. I mean, the PS3 to the PS4, that was 7 years. This could end up being an 8-year cycle, 9-year cycle. So Sony could show up with hardware that's deemed older, but would still have much better results even than what the PS5 is able to do, especially on the CPU side. And that could do some, I think, pretty interesting things when it comes to maybe open world style games or more dynamically changing games. And maybe they would do things like leverage AI upscaling and other facets so that you could get a really good looking but high performing in terms of frame rate 4K or even 8K image. So I think that's what they're mostly going to focus on there. And of course, talking with developers and see what other tools they may need behind the scenes, potentially to accelerate development. While we don't see that firsthand, I mean, we can at least feel it when we see how long some of these games take to make. So there's a lot of stuff in the background that needs to be done with schedules being synced up with the current market that is kind of yelling from the rooftops, hey guys, not a great time to release new hardware right now. Also, we did have a Nintendo Direct that was announced, and as you can see, January 25th, 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. It's interesting to get that Sunday Direct, I guess, but it is for the Super Mario Galaxy movie, and to me, it's going to be a little bit of talking and then a trailer, and that'll probably be it. Now, the trailer, I'm sure, can show new characters and maybe some other events, as some are wondering if backstory for certain characters could be expanded on here. But I think it's going to be similar in how they showed Bowser Jr. And it's like, oh, cool, Rosalina. All right, there's characters that'll be in the movie. And we're a few months out now from the movie coming out. Remember, it's the first week of April. So with that in mind, this being just part of their big marketing push, might be the last real trailer for the movie. Outside of, they'll do a trailer on close to release date, obviously, for like one big final push on TV and commercials. But this seems like the last real event that they're going to do for the movie. So maybe they will have a fun reveal or something for a character. That could be kind of cool. Or maybe they'll do some other like winks and nods towards different games that are out there in the Mario franchise. But as they say here, no game information will be included in this presentation. So I'm glad they went ahead and just put that out there now, because, people are going to go into this and be like, oh, finally, the new 3D Mario is being announced. I know it's a Mario Galaxy movie direct, but they're going to do it. Also, here's something fun to look forward to on Sunday. Big event happening for the 40th anniversary of Dragon Ball. And while I'm focused in on the gaming side right now with this, it seems like they'll probably be announcing things for manga, merchandise, anime, all kinds of stuff, right? However, we do have one event here that mentions a new game super announcement. Okay. I have a lot of hopes and dreams for this, that it's going to be something really cool like Dragon Ball Kakarot, maybe a follow-up to that. And the idea of a Dragon Ball Super oriented Kakarot game follow-up was pitched to me by Maddie in an upcoming podcast you guys will be seeing. And I thought that was a cool idea to do that, because apparently with the DLC that I have not been keeping up with, I'm sorry, they do so much DLC for their different Dragon Ball games that are still being supported, like Kakarot, that it's hard to keep up with it. But one thing is, they have not apparently really gone into the super side of things. So maybe they do set that up for a game like that. I think that'd be really cool. The unfortunate reality, though, with Dragon Ball, the mobile games are very lucrative for them, and it wouldn't shock me if that's what it was. It was some mobile game that it's free to play, microtransactions, the whole thing, and that's what they want to show off here. But I'm hopeful that it's maybe some kind of console game, action adventure RPG, kind of similar to Kakarot. And finally, we did get a response kind of from Ubisoft, but through the Prince of Persia social media account, after the cancellation of Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake, saying, we've made the difficult decision to stop development on Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake. We know this is deeply disappointing. The game carries enormous meaning for fans and for the teams who worked on it. While the project had real potential, we weren't able to reach the level of quality you deserve, and continuing would have required more time and investment than we could responsibly commit. And we didn't want to release something that fell short of what the Sands of Time represents. Okay, so they do go on to say that this decision does not mean we're stepping away from the franchise, and I do think there will be another Prince of Persia game. What form will that take? That's the better question, because it could be another 2D Metroidvania style game. I was more hopeful that this Sands of Time remake being a 3D game. And look, I know I'm a fan of 2D games, like I'm sure many of you are, but we all can admit that there is that stigma that follows 2D games to where they don't feel like they are worth as much as 3D games. Like we see it. And that's just the way it is. And so I was hopeful that while we got that very, very good 2D Metroidvania Prince of Persia, the Sands of Time remake would work to reinvigorate the series further. And sadly, it's just kind of been just a mark on the franchise now with it being canceled. And them mentioning that it would have required more time and investment than we could responsibly commit. Bit from a business side, if they were going to have to spend another 2 years on this thing, and it's already been rebooted once, and it's shifted studios, and they have a bunch of people working on it, it probably isn't going to make its money back. I had to think about how many copies do I really believe Sans Time Remake would sell at full price, not when it's $8 2 years from now or something. And the reality is a couple million at best. And so it most likely was going to be it was most likely going to lose money. Now, that's fine, but then I see Beyond Good and Evil 2 still in development, and I have to scratch my head a little bit at that because that has to be the ultimate money pit right now. Still, though, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake getting canceled is quite sad. And what I would like to see then, if they are obviously they are, but if this is the case, that they at least I would think do a collection of that trilogy, the Sands of Time, Warrior Within, and then Two Thrones. And they did this on the PS3. I have the disc because it's 3D compatible, so you can play it on the 3D TV. And I've been playing around with the 3D TV a bit here and there over the last month or so. And this is one of the games, and it's actually kind of interesting to see on that set kind of in that way. But I think it'd be cool if they did that, packaged them all together, and then put them on all the different platforms. So at least then there's a way for people to experience Sands of Time as a remaster, along with Warrior Within and Two Thrones, even though Sands of Time out of that trilogy is my favorite one. And, just some quality of life things, camera, controls, stuff like that. And just kind of put it out there. I think it'd at least be a way to be like, look, we're still involved with Prince of Persia. Couldn't do the full blown remake, but we'll at least give you a way to access the game. Because to my understanding, I think it's been like delisted on places like Xbox, and I thought it was on Steam, so it's kind of scattershot right now. It'd be awesome if they brought it back, did the upscaling treatment and some of the basic stuff, or if nothing else, let PlayStation put it on their PlayStation Plus Premium and maybe drip feed those over the next couple of months or something. But yeah, just a few stories I wanted to cover heading into the weekend. Let me know what you guys think about all this down below, especially with this Dragon Ball game. Do you think it'll be some new console announcement for a game, or do you think it'll be a mobile game? And then what about the Mario Brothers movie Direct? Do you think Nintendo has some big surprise up their sleeve just a few months out from the movie's debut? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.